28 days of training camp. 28 has a special meaning to Redskins fans. The jersey number of Hall of Famer Darrell Green spent his entire 20-year career with the Burgundy and Gold, won 2 Super Bowls, 7-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro.
I know they don't do
So they don't make them like that anymore, do they? We are asking you on Twitter, other than Sean Taylor's jersey number 21, we have a feeling that would be unanimous. Which Redskins jersey should be retired? Sonny Jurgensen, Darrell Green, John Riggins, Bobby Mitchell, Sammy Baugh is the only one, number 33, that is retired. We should be able to write in there Brian.
Can you just say all of those names right there?
Well, you know, unfortunately, Twitter only gives you 4 options for this.
Yeah, but Twitter has to give you all because Bobby Mitchell, yes. Sonny Jurgensen, yes. Riggins, yes. Darrell Green, yes. All 4 of them.
The way the Redskins stack it, there is only one so far. So there's plenty of room for more jerseys to be taken off of the board as we welcome you in to countdown to Redskins training camp. Julie Donaldson, Brian Mitchell. I'd write your name in there too. Why not? Is that okay? I'm going to be a biased.
Take care of those guys first.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm just being biased. I want you on my side for the next half hour.
All right, cool. Thank you. I'll take that.
So tell us a little bit about, because you mentioned all of, and we're going to get further into these players and the Redskins greats a little bit later in the show. But first, Darrell Green, since this is the number that we are at, I don't know the younger generation can understand or appreciate all that he was. You played with him for numerous seasons. Kind of tell us maybe who you'd compare him to, what kind of a player he was.
Well, the thing about Darrell, he was always dedicated. I mean, always prepared. He was dedicated to his craft. Probably the fastest guy to ever play in the NFL. I'll say it that way. I know a lot of people think Deion Sanders was fast, Willie Gault, Ryan Brown, but Darrell Green would have probably beat all those guys. My rookie season, I had clocked a 4.36 in the 40. I thought I was something. He ran 4.16. Then you look at when he was 40 years old, 4.24. At 50, he ran a 4.45. So the guy can run, and when you look at it, he has many great moments on the football field. Ran down Tony Dorsett, ran down Eric Dixon, and these are not slow people. The thing about him, he wasn't the biggest guy out there, but he played with a big heart. Came from Texas A&I, he would tell you, and he always kept his Tootsie Rolls in his sock. He said it made him fast.
I'm going to go buy a bag of Tootsie Rolls as I head to the gym from here on out. To do that at 40 is one thing. To do it again at 50, nobody's catching him.
Listen to me. I guarantee you there are guys on the team right now who exaggerate their 40 times. He'll probably beat him now, and he's close to the 60.
And an all-around good guy as well.
No, he's
very active in the community. Yes. So there you go. For those that maybe didn't know the history of Darrell Green, we just condensed it very quickly, and that would be appropriate since he is one of the fastest guys out there. All right, so we're going to move on. We're going to talk a little bit about defense today, about the linebacking core as a whole. They had a couple of losses during the offseason. Zach Brown to the Eagles, Preston Smith to the Packers. Now, according to USA Today, Brown is ranked as the 6th best linebacker heading into 2019, and if you go to Pro Football Focus, he's actually 3rd. Brown started 25 games for Washington, 223 tackles. The Redskins saved about $3.9 million by releasing him. Of course, we saw the writing on the wall at the end of the season last year. As for Preston Smith, well, the Redskins drafted him in the 2nd round 2015. Consistency was the issue with him. 2 seasons with 8 sacks, 2 with 4 and 4.5. 4 was that. So, with Smith now in Green Bay, the Redskins drafted the guy to replace him, Montez Sweat out of Mississippi State. He's been impressing early on. As for Brown, the team was looking to Reuben Foster to fill that void, but Foster tore his left ACL in the first practice with the team, so we'll be unable to see what impact he would have at all this season. So that means, Brian, there's a little bit of a hole here at middle linebacker. Let's start there with this one. No Brown, no Reuben. They have Sean Dion Hamilton entering his 3rd year, so he got a little bit of time in the last 5 games of last season to be able to get out there. But is he a guy that you could rely on to call the plays, to be athletic enough, to be quick enough to really kind of make you feel secure in that position?
I think we just throw Reuben Foster out because Reuben Foster never played here, so there's nothing to replace. And I look at Zach Brown. I think Zach Brown last year was not the guy that he was 2 years ago. And you look at his play. Pro Football Focus say he was number 3 and all this about covering. He did not cover very well on the football field. So as I look at Sean Dion Hamilton, my best friend, one of my friends, Jeff Tate, he was a big Alabama fan, and he's always said Sean Dion Hamilton was the guy calling the plays down there in Alabama. Got guys ready to play all the time. So I see him now in his 3rd year. being a much better football player. Last year, he showed some glimpses of being a very good linebacker. But when you look at him, it's not just about Sean. Deion, it's about the people up front. They're going to keep people off of him and allow him to run through gaps and make those plays. A lot of times we look at the linebacker play and we just knock the linebackers. It's what you have in front of you, and I think they have a great tandem of athletes up there that's going to be able to hold people off of them and let them go play.
I mean, we'll get to that, but still, if there's a hole on this team, and the defense, it would be an inside linebacker because Sean Deion Hamilton hasn't consistently been able to really prove that he can take that over. Yeah, they say he can call the plays, but is he really athletic enough to help
He's athletic enough. I mean, we can't say as a whole because did Zach Brown play great last year? I mean, I listen to all these.
Even Mason Foster didn't have a great season.
Mason Foster is a guy who didn't have a good season, but Mason Foster is a guy who's prepared, can get you lined up. But those guys are just like a quarterback. They depend on the guys in front of them. And as they continually do, if those guys in front of them elevate their game like they've been doing thus far, I think you're going to see Sean Deion Hamilton play a lot better, Mason Foster play a lot better. The middle linebackers, to me, we look at Zach Brown's speed. They also have the kid from North Carolina State, I think it is, who can really, really run. He may get that opportunity to play. You still have Josh Harvey-Clemens on this football team who can be a guy who can bounce from outside to inside. So they have pieces. I don't think anybody that's not here this year played that great last year to where it's a drastic hole in the field.
Mason being the vet, if Ruben was here, there might be a chance that he might have been cut. Do you think he's still in trouble with that? Because you just mentioned some up-and-comers that have the potential to be able to compete for
I think Mason Foster, with his experience and the way he has a hold on the defense, we saw 2 years ago when Zach Brown made a play, Mason Foster was the guy who lined him up and told him what to do. Mason Foster is a person on this team that you need a linebacker who's going to be able to get the defense call, line up everybody, make sure everything is in the right place. He's that guy. And I think he came in this year a little lighter. We say he wanted to be able to run fast. They hear what people say about him. They say he was slow. He got it a little lighter. He worked out. So I expect him to play faster. So I'm looking for those guys to play well because of Jonathan Allen. Okay, Deron Payne, Settle, Ioannidis. Those guys will make the guys behind them play better.
What about if we're still staying on depth at this position? You mentioned Josh Harvey-Clemens. Have we seen enough improvement for him, or will this be the year that he also takes that jump?
I've seen him improve every year, and that's the thing about it. He has not made the big jump because he had other guys in front of him. But sometimes there are guys sitting on the bench who, if put on the field, they can make play after play. Now, Josh Harvey-Clemens looks more like a bigger safety. This guy can run with people. He's a guy who can cover probably a little bit. So it's going to come down to how well they cover it. And I can also say the scheme of the coaches. You can protect some guys. If you're not a great cover guy, don't have him in that position to have to cover so much.
All right, let's talk about the edge rushers. You talk about some of those guys up front. We have Ryan Kerrigan. Can we just call him Mr. Old Reliable? You know exactly what you're going to get from Ryan. Shows no signs of teetering off. He's going to give you double-digit sacks. He just hasn't had that guy consistently opposite of him. I mean, there's no reason to believe that he's not going to be the same heading into this season.
Ryan Kerrigan, since he got drafted, has always been a guy prepared. He's going to just be steady. He's not going to be like that guy that just blows you away with his quickness and speed. But he doesn't stop. He's relentless, and he's going to make play after play after play. Now, if he's leading that core, you expect those guys to look at him. As I talked with Montez Sweat earlier this year, he was like, Ryan Kerrigan, man, he's a great vet. He helps you out, gives you all the information you need. He's following Ryan Kerrigan. So I look at him coming in with a lot more athleticism, but he can look at Ryan and find a little bit of that perseverance, the tenacity. And he's going to have to learn a little bit more about, you can't speed rush everybody. Ryan can teach him some different things, and I expect that pass rushing team to be a lot better. Montez Sweat comes in more athletic than what Preston Smith was. Preston Smith was kind of up and down. He can show you where he was good at one point, but then he'll go on these long hiatuses where you don't see him anymore. I'm expecting Montez Sweat to be able to make a big step and come in and help the pass rushing out.
I was talking with Ryan Kerrigan before the draft, and I said, Ryan, do you have any idea what they're going to do? I said, we know that this is a position that you wanted them to draft at. And he said, I'm afraid to speak publicly. I'm afraid to really say what I want because he's such the ultimate team player. The team guy in the locker room says, I'm going to support anybody that comes in. But of course, secretly, he was saying, yes, I want that guy. He gets a Montez Sweat, so he gets him. Now, you say you can't just be the one going, rushing the passer the entire time. But is that what Montez is going to be brought in to begin? Or can you use him more than that? What I'm saying is,
when rushing the passer, he can't just try to do the speed rush outside all the time. Yes, he is brought in to be a speed rusher. We know he ran a 4.41 in the 40. So everybody talks about his speed. But you look at guys like Dwight Freeney, who was a 4.49. Nobody ever knew that. But a guy who can take you up and around, and then when you get ready for him to speed rush you, he'll go and spin on you, go inside. Then all of a sudden he's in your chest and he's power rushing you. He's going to have multiple moves to be successful at this league.
When does that come for a rookie?
Well, I think once he gets in, he needs to start looking at film of great pass rushers, those guys he respected along the way, and start to look at them and see what they did. How do you set someone up? There are going to be pass plays where he's just setting the guy up to make the guy think, oh, he's going around, he's going around. Now I come off the ball, that guy tries to get out of there, and then boom, I go up and under on him. He has the speed and the athleticism to do that, and if he can implement that in this game early on, look at a guy like a Von Miller. Not as tall as Montez Sweat is, but Von Miller could damn near be laying on the ground and get around somebody, and he has the speed to take it around the horn, then he can go up and under, and that dude at 252 pounds will run right in the middle of the chest of a 320-pound and put them on their butt. So when you get them trying to backpedal so much, they don't have any power. Montez Sweat could do all those different things and has to begin to work on those tools, and he has a coach who's going to make sure they go out there and learn all those things. If he can keep going, Chad's going to help him out. I think he's going to be a great, great player for this team.
Putting him in the same conversation of Von Miller has to get Redskins fans at home a little bit excited.
I'm not putting pressure on him. I'm just saying what he possibly can be.
Not pressure, but look, it's fair because there is a lot of excitement around him. But you have Ryan Anderson that you can get into that mix. Does he come in maybe now if you've got Montez Sweat to go against the pass? Is Ryan Anderson more against the run, or is he going to be somebody that we're going to see competing with Montez
I think
well?
Ryan Anderson will be competing, but this is what I see about Ryan Anderson. When this kid was in college his last year, he made as many plays or more plays than anybody else on Alabama's defense. Then he got here his rookie season. He had little injuries, and he did not really go out there and make the plays he made. You needed him to make. Last year, we saw how good he was against the run. I think for him to take that step, he's going to have to become a better pass rusher at this level because he will set the edge. He can stop the run. If he gets a little bit better at the pass rushing, then you have three formidable guys on that football field, and then I've seen him play both sides. That's a big plus for him that he can play both sides, and I think he can make a major, major step by becoming a better pass rusher.
It gives options as well in that position.
And that's what you need.
You can rotate them around.
You need that, and there may be some time. You look at what the Philadelphia Eagles would do. They would bring all pass rushers on the field. They call it a NASCAR defense, where they had a lot of pass rushers all across that line, and they will get into the backfield so quick and was still good against the run. That's a possibility for the Redskins as well.
If I'm the quarterback, though, I'm trembling a little bit. Talking about just the way that you line up the defense, everybody loves to debate this every single year, every single time you go to it, 3-4, 4-3. Yeah. Taking a look at the personnel that the Redskins have, should the switch be made?
You look at the players on this team and you say that they're a better 4-3 defense. Then when you look at them play, they play the 4-3 more than they do the 3-4. I just think that whatever defense you're in, you have to win. And the only reason people complain about it is that and there was so much talk when Shanahan was here about the 3-4 and how good it's going to make your special teams. We didn't see that happen while Shanahan was here. Now, in this situation, if they could keep improving, they could play it how they've been playing. I wouldn't care, as long as you have success at it. If you have consistent success, no one cares if you're in the 3-4 or the 4-3. You have to be good at it, though.
All right. Well, the defense is supposed to be the strength, so it's Minuski to put them out there in the best way possible. All right, let's get to a final word here since we've talked about the linebacking core. Give me your final word for this group.
Mine is interesting. And the reason I say that because we look at a guy like Sean Dion Hamilton. Doesn't get a lot of praise because he didn't play a lot, but you can see him starting to move up last year. Mason Foster, guy, is always going to be prepared. And I think last year, the fact that his speed was brought into question, lost weight to try and get that done. But then you have Ryan Kerrigan, a guy who you know what he's going to do. He's the guy leading that whole team. Ryan Anderson, and then not Preston Smith, but Montez Sweat now is on this football team, a guy with all the speed and athleticism that you want there. You lost Preston, you bring him in. All those guys are at different levels, but if they can be more consistent and the people in front do their jobs at a higher level, I think this is going to be a very interesting and successful linebacking core.
On paper, they could be a very well top 10 defense. I'm going to say unbalanced, and I'm going to say that because this is the time of year where you are. We just talked about the inside linebacker and how we don't know exactly who's going to be filling in, how they're going to be able to grow into those roles. There's a lot of potential with these younger inside linebackers to be able to step up. Of course, we know how that D-line is. We anticipate a lot from the edge rushers. So I'm going to say right now, one side of the defense is taking up a little bit more in that linebacking core. All right, when we come back, though, we're going to take a step back. We're going to go back into Redskins history and say, which former Redskins number do you think should be retired? Because 33 right now is all alone up there. Welcome back to Countdown to Redskins Training Camp, presented by Virginia Lottery. The late, great Sammy Baugh spent his entire career with the Washington Redskins, quarterbacking, but Brian, he did a little bit of everything. I don't know that they make him like Baugh anymore. He played defensive back. He was also the team's punter.
Yeah.
And his number is the only number that the Washington Redskins say is off limits. Number 33 is retired. Now, Dwayne Haskins Jr. has yet to really begin his career with the Washington Redskins, just at practice, getting to know the system. But already he has taken over the number 7. It has not been worn since Joe Theismann. Theismann giving permission to Haskins to be able to wear the number. It has been the number that Haskins has worn his entire career. Taken first round, 15th overall, and expected to be the franchise quarterback for many years to come. So maybe the number 7 will one day be on this list, with his name, Haskins, on it. Right now, you see Joe Theismann there at the number. These are the numbers that the Redskins have honored. They have not been retired, as we started the show saying there's a lot of numbers that could be. Sean Taylor, of course, would be one everybody would love to have retired up there. Bobby Mitchell is one of the great. John Riggins, great. Art Monk. Look, if you take a look at this list, a lot of great names on this one, Brian. We took to Twitter. We wanted to see what everybody at home had to say. Does it surprise you at all that Darrell Green, you're talking about how fast he is, he just ran away with this poll, 57% voting for the speed scoop.
A lot of that is about the people that are on Instagram and Twitter and all that type of thing, too, the youth. I think you talk to more of the older players of the Washington Redskins, you will see that skewed towards Bobby Mitchell and Sonny Jurgensen, two guys that went. Bobby Mitchell, the first African-American to come in here and play. Yeah, he may have done a lot more when he was with Cleveland, but he was the first guy that came in, and what type of hell he had to take when he first got to Washington. Sonny Jurgensen, the guy who threw the ball as well as anybody out there. So I understand it, but Darrell Green, I don't have a problem with that at all. I look at all 4 of those guys on that sheet there. All 4 of them could be retired. Wouldn't care because they have done a lot for this football team. Exceptional. Darrell, 20 years here. 20 years playing the position of cornerback says more than enough.
Let's start because you first mentioned in Bobby, and there's so much more that he brought to this team than just what he brought on the field. But what kind of a player? I mean, he's a tough-nosed player. He's still out there in the community. I've come across him a few times. Just a stand-up man in character, and his wife always by his side.
Gwen.
But on the field, how tough was he?
Bobby Mitchell was the guy, and you look at the highlights of him, was a guy who could shake you up, will run past you, block, catch, any type of thing you needed to happen on the football field. Many people believe that he was a better player when he was there in Cleveland, but I think when you're a guy that stands for the things that he stood for, and you made that transition to come here, the league sent him here, okay, you have to take this guy. So many players don't want to take that on. He did. And he came here and he established himself. And now you look at the Washington Redskins, you look at that football team, you see a lot more Bobby Mitchells on the team than you saw even thought about seeing back in the day.
Desegregated the team in 1962. What about Sonny?
Sonny was that guy. Sonny was when you want to see a pretty ball, he was that guy. You know, Sonny Jurgensen, the passing.
Oh, okay.
And then when you look at the thing, I think a lot of the reason is Sonny was on some teams that weren't as good, but he was damn good. You see, like today, guys get stuck on a bad football team, but they have these unbelievable numbers, and we don't give them the love they deserve. I think he was in that position. As good a passer as anybody out there, but still, I think you look at what he did on a team that wasn't as good, he deserves the credit and put up some exceptional numbers. To get into the Hall of Fame, that says a lot.
And still a part of the organization as well, as always stayed close to it. Went to the Hall of Fame in 1983.
Look at those passes. Right on point. Boom.
I mean, no matter what year you played in, a pretty ball and a quarterback is great. What about if we go to John Riggins, also in the Hall of Fame?
The Diesel.
Riggo.
I mean, you just look at the run that he had breaking against, I think it was Miami, and going to the Super Bowl, winning that game, says enough.
They don't win it without him.
Says enough. Yeah, John, and we have some guys on the team that were like characters. John is that guy, but was an unbelievable player, left this game, and then came back and still had a stellar career at an old age.
All right, so if we were voting, because we know on Twitter you can only put one, if we were voting, all 4 would be up there with a few extra additions as well. All right, so we are going to talk about going behind enemy lines. Jamison Crowder left the Washington Redskins, a little hole in the slot receiver now, but he went to the Jets. Is that really a better spot for him going forward? We are back on Countdown to Redskins training camp, where we're going behind enemy lines. We are going to go up the road to New York to the Jets. Adam Gase, at his press conference, attracted a lot of attention with how, he conducted the press conference. Takes over, but it wasn't shortly thereafter that he is named as the head coach. I mean, I would be intimidated if I'm a player. This is the way he's looking at me, like, yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Nah, I'll be wondering what the hell he may do next.
I know. Well, you're paying attention, that's for sure. Le'Veon Bell is going to be paying attention because he is their new running back after sitting out last season with the Steelers. He signs a 4-year, $52.5 million contract. They got Jets fans all excited. They also get Jamison Crowder out there. One of the better slot receivers that the Washington Redskins will be missing out as well. But we're going to talk about this franchise as a whole. Look, they get rid of their general manager after the draft, after they hire Gase. Seems like absolute terrible timing to decide to make a decision. Why did that not come before all of these big decisions were made? Dysfunctional? The most dysfunctional? Where would you put them?
It seems dysfunctional because I think the general managers did a great job of getting them talent. And then all of a sudden, it seems like the coach and the general manager didn't get along. So they got rid of the coach. And the general manager. Now they have another guy who's come in. So I look at this as a situation to where they have to figure out what they want to do. Now, Le'Veon Bell is sitting there, and he's one of the best run-pass options when it comes to a running back in the NFL. That's a great player to have. He's going to make it easier for Jamison Crowder. When he was here, he was the one player who can get separation. If he can get separation there, that's going to help him out tremendously.
Well, you need a little bit more than that. They also have Greg Williams.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll lead that defense.
Defense,
Thanks for joining us. We will see you again tomorrow. For Brian, I'm Julie. Peace out, everyone.
Peace.